Oh, what's up, Lord Swine here, back at it again. Today this will be my offense guide for Granblue Fantasy vs Rising. This is intended as a beginner's guide for the game, but I will cover more advanced topics as well. As always, I'll have timestamps linked below, so don't forget to check them out if there's anything specifically you want to see. I'll also put my playlist up there, just in case is a guide you may not have seen that might help you out with your game. And that's pretty much it, to be honest with you. If you wouldn't mind liking the video, that'd be really kind. These videos do take a bit of time to make, so it'd be appreciated. And if this is the type of content that you want to see, don't forget to sub and hit the notification bell, just so you don't miss any more future content. Alright, let's do this. Alright, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the most basic form of offense in the game, which is strike or throw. And essentially all that means is you're either going to walk up to the opponent and do a strike attack, or you're going to walk to them and do a throw. And that's it. Obviously the way this works is the more your opponent is blocking, the more you want to throw them, and the more that your opponent is pressing buttons and mashing on you, you want to be pressing strikes more. Now there are several ways in the game to set this up, but the most basic ones I'm going to show you today are starting with 5L, starting with 6L, and then doing it off knockdowns. The reason why these are so good is because all three of these options have great advantage. This one is +4. Every character in the game has plus frames on their 5L. Some are better than others. 6L is obviously great because it's great for closing the distance, and it's +2. And knockdowns, you get like a hard knockdown, which leaves you maximum plus frames. So all you really want to do is do 5L and then go for a throw for opponents that are blocking more, or you want to do 5L, delay 5M, and then go into a block string, or an attack, sorry. This is the same off 6L. You do this, go up for a throw, or you do this, then go for a strike. And knockdowns, the only difference you really want to do is you want to hit them with your heavy buttons. And the reason you want to hit them with your heavy buttons is because you get more damage off them, obviously, and the counter hit's much bigger. And the button's a lot more active, and active just literally means that the move is there for longer. Or say like this, this is not out for as long as this. So you do throw, and then you time it with a meaty. A meaty just means like you're hitting them on the frame they're getting up. And if they're pressing a button, they get counter hit because the move's so active. You get a big attack like that. And obviously, if the opponent has decided not to press a button, then you just throw them again. And that's the basic premise of strike throw. That's literally it. Alright, and I just wanted to throw this at the end. This is a little bit more of an advanced concept. I don't think you'd see this too much on the early ranks, but however, I thought I'd just put it in there because it is a good counter to strike throw. Just kind of shows that it's not this impervious kind of tactic. It's very basic, but it's good to get you started. And literally, if you think they're going to throw, you can just walk back, and then they whiff the throw. And then obviously you can then get your attacks in. So that's a great way to beat strike throw. Obviously, DP beats both options, beats strike and throw. But if they choose to block because they are plus, you will lose to that. So just be that aware. If the opponent is, savvy, then just be aware of it. But yeah, just if they are trying to, if you think they're going to throw, you can just walk back and then punish after. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to go over is Frametraps. A Frametrap is essentially just a technique you need to learn how to beat mashing. So if someone's mashing a lot on you, then the Frametrap's what you kind of want to do. I have a guide on how to beat mashers. I will link it above. It elaborates more about this subject, but for the purpose of this video, I'll go over it. There's two ways to have a Frametrap in your string. There's intentionally leaving a Frametrap or naturally having a Frametrap. Intentionally just means you're delaying the string to catch mashers. So for example, 5L or 5M, delayed. Or 5L, 5H is another one. These are two ways to intentionally leave frame traps in your string so that you can catch an opponent for pressing buttons. And then naturally just means that there's nothing you can do. The frame trap is just built into the string that you're doing. A good example is Gita and her Vorpal Blade Medium. So if I'm mashing between Vorpal Blade Medium and she just does it, then I will get blown up for trying. Now, like always, these aren't bulletproof. You know, if I run in and then try to do this, and the Jita wants to DP or invincible reversal, then I'll get blown up for trying. It's the same for natural ones. Natural one, however, you can't block after they've done it. So once you've committed, you are literally just stuck. And if they know there's a gap, you're going to get blown up for doing it. So there is a counter to this, like there's a counter to strike throw. So you need to be aware of that. But most opponents who mash won't stop mashing. So this is an idea of how to kind of condition them to stop. And this goes back to strike throw. Once they've started blocking more, then you start throwing them more. That's the idea. So it's kind of like a loop, if you like. And yeah, so that basically just covers that. Alright, one thing I kind of want to tag on in the end because I think it's important. This is the opposite of a frame trap. This technique is called a true block string. And the idea of this is you kind of want to end your string with no gaps on purpose to kind of catch out DPs. The best example I can give for Gran is by ending with his EX fireball. You can obviously do this with his light fireball as well. And his medium fireball, because they both leave him safe as well at a good distance. But the reason you want to use the EX one is because it's plus. So it means the opponent's more likely to invincible reversal after a plus move, and I'll get into why in a minute. But basically, your idea is you don't leave any gaps, you do this, you block. If they DP, then you get your punish. That's the idea of a true block string. It's just intentionally not leaving gaps in your strings to try and bait out DPs. Right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is basically how to keep your character safe, or basically how to establish plus frames and take more turns. So basically, the golden number in this game is -3. Anything that is -3 can't be punished, because the quickest attack in this game is throw. So any move that leaves you in their face that is -4 will basically, you can get punished, throw punished. There are some moves in this game that can give you that. One example of this is Gran and his light boot. This is -5, so he can be grab punished from this distance, but he can also be strike distance. So anything that's -5 is basically can get punished by a strike. So you need to be aware of where your character kind of ends up after certain moves. So if you don't think the opponent's opening up, a bad thing to do with Gran would be going to any of his boots. They all leave him incredibly disadvantaged. This one's -10, so an opponent who has like Gran has an 8-frame punish, an 8-frame move, so he can punish that with a heavy starter. So you need to kind of be aware of what you want to go into. You kind of want to find moves that are safe. So Gran's light fireball is -7. He can be punished from this distance, so one you'd probably want to go for is his medium one. This is -4, as we know that -4 is the only thing that can be punished by -4 is a grab. She ain't grabbing you from this distance, so this is a good way to end. And there's no gap between this, so you'll be perfectly fine. Now, understanding this is fine, so keeping your character safe is an important part of the game. So you need to kind of work out what your character can kind of do. How do they stay safe? What moves should I not be using on block? What moves should I be using on offense? But one move that is good, and most characters in the game can do this. Most special moves will have a plus version of the move. For Gran, it's his fireball, projectile fireball, leaves him +3. So this is a way to kind of take your turn back. So you can be like da-da-da, then you do a 5M, which is the closest move. And then sometimes the opponent will try and press buttons after the fireball because they don't expect it, and you'll be able to get a frame trap. Obviously, if they block this, then you don't really want to do anything else because Gran hasn't got any other options after this, other than maybe trying to frame trap with 5M into you. But that's something for you to kind of figure out. So yeah, that's kind of like understanding very basics of frame information to kind of keep your character safe and what isn't safe. So remember, golden number is -3. Obviously, don't have anything that's -4 in their face or -5 because you'll get blown up for it. And make sure you know which buttons are safe or unsafe to use on a block string. And then you'll be okay. Alright, so the next thing we're going to talk about is basically staggers. The way staggers work in this game is that if you have an opponent who's really good at defense, they're blocking everything you're doing, they're taking all your throws, then you kind of want to start staggering them. And the way this works is you loop your light attacks. So obviously we established earlier that a close light is 4 frames, far light is 1 frame, so they're both plus on advantage, and then you also got 2L. Not every 2L in the game is a low attack, so the ones that are will have a little bit easier time against this, obviously because they can threaten plus frames and a low attack. So that's a very good thing to do. So basically what you kind of want to do, you want to basically do 5L into far L, which is a frame trap, or you want to do a close L into 2L, which is obviously plus into lights. So it's -2 as well, and Gran can chain this. It's very important, so if they press a button here, you can also get them for doing that. Or you can do 5L into 5L. Now this technique is a little bit tricky to do, but basically the idea is you delay 5L and then you press 5L again, and then if you're doing it right, you will get 2 close Ls. So the idea is just pressing it at the right time. You've got to time it. And then you'll obviously do +4/+4. And obviously, then you can always threaten with another move with a 2L or a far L. And the idea of this is it will stop the opponent. Basically, if the opponent presses buttons, you'll be able to get a full combo off this. So as you can see. But the idea is that you just keep doing this to the opponent. And then you'll eventually be able to open up, hopefully. Now, some opponents will still sit there and just take your staggers. Like, they won't do anything about it. They'll just wait for you to throw. So every now and then, you want to block, because they might try and do a DP. So just be aware of that. This isn't like obviously like a foolproof way of doing it, but it's a way to kind of like see if your opponent's gonna start pressing buttons, because you don't lose this if you're doing it correctly. Then that's the idea. So there's staggers. Now sometimes with a stagger, a clash might occur, and when you do a stagger and a clash might occur at this distance, the optimal punish is throw, because throw comes out in 4 frames. So anything they kind of press that close will be blown up. I'll show you that now. This is an opponent. This is if you messed up your delay and they get a button out, because a good opponent will stick out their 5-frame button first, and a clash will usually occur. But I'll show you that now. So as you can see there, I threw. I got the punish. So just get used to it. If you see a clash, the answer is throw when you're that close. I'll explain how clashes work next, but basically when you're this close and you're doing your staggers, just make sure you're doing a throw. That's all you need to do. But I'll go over clashes now. Alright, so when 2 hitboxes collide, a clash will occur. And then basically what you want to do in a clash is you want to be able to press your next quickest button or move that will counter the next move that comes out. When you're in a clash, you can go into any single move you like. That could be that super, DP, whatever, or just loop back into the same move or go back. Clashes allow that. I'll show you an example now. So in that situation, I use the clash slowdown to bring out a fireball. So it doesn't always have to be a fireball. This time I went into super. Obviously, if they didn't go into super themselves, then you punish them for it. So, see what your character can do after a clash, and then pick your optimal punish. Obviously, as I was saying, in your face, throw is always the best option when you're this close. When you're further away, you might have a better option that you kind of want to throw out. Ultimate attack might be a better idea. It didn't work. But anyway, that's just experimenting. Just see what your character can do after clash. But remember, you can cancel into any single button you want, just as long as it isn't the same button you used. Alright, so this section is going to be all about 6XL and why you need to abuse the hell out of it. This move is amazing for pressure. It's amazing for... It's a situational anti-air, which is crazy enough. It's also one of the best whiff punish tools in the entire game. One of the biggest issues in the original game was that there was no real way to consistently whiff punish a lot of characters and then get like maximum return off it. For example, you'd have a situation like this, and then that would probably much be it. Like you go like this, and then you'd like connect into your boot probably, but then you're not close enough anyway. So, but with 6XL, that all changes. So what was simply just a simple 2M into boot combo before, with 6XL we've managed to take them to the corner, and we've managed to get like quite a decent amount of damage. Obviously you could probably do a better combo than I just did, but that's just an example of how it works. So you should really be looking to whiff punish with 6XL, and if they block it, you're going to be plus anyway, so then you can continue your pressure, which I'll get into next about the 6XL pressure. But it's just very important to be using this as your main whiff punish button. Obviously there are times when you will still want to use moves like this and then go into fireball and stuff. It really just depends on the circumstances, but if you want to get maximum return, say if you got people just whiffing stuff in the neutral, yeah, it takes a bit of time and a bit of practice, but 6XL is an amazing whiff punish tool, and you should really be prioritizing it for your offense. Like, it is amazing. Alright, before we get into the pressure, I just wanted to just tack this on just at the end, just to show the comedy of the 6XL button. Even on whiff, this button is -20, so it recovers fairly fast. For example, this button's 27, so this is your standard poke. this recovers much faster. So even in the neutral, if it whiffs, it's really not that big of a deal. So yeah, abuse this button until it gets nerfed, because it will probably get changed eventually. But right now, it's an absolute demon. But anyway, onto the pressure. Alright, so what we're going to talk about now is 6XL pressure. You need to learn this to get good at the game, or even have a modicum of like standing a chance, because you can really go far by just having this in your toolkit. So I highly recommend it. So basically, what we learned earlier was that after plus frames, such as like close light or 6XL, we have advantage. So 6XL gives us +2 advantage, and then from this we have several options we can follow up with to basically try and deal with certain types of opponents. So the first type of opponent we're going to try and talk about is an opponent who doesn't want to press buttons or DP, they're just going to block. Now, one thing you know about this, what you may notice, is that if you look up at Jita's health bar, this doesn't actually chip any to them at all. So them being patient isn't necessarily a bad idea. You know, it's a fairly good idea. But there is ways to deal with this. So one way you can deal with this is walk up and throw them. So you 6XL and you throw them. Now, obviously, not every opponent in the game is going to let you just walk up and throw them. They're ready, because some people's defense is amazing. So, as I said earlier about my throw guide, so if you check that out, you'll be able to see a better understanding of how to kind of do these techniques. But for the course of this video, I'll just explain. You do 6XL, and then you do something called a shimmy, where it looks like you're walking forward, and then you walk back. And then by doing this, the opponent will whiff their throw, and then you can go into your next button. That's like the idea. So like you counter hit them with your like heavy attack. So off this, you can go there into throw. If they are teching your throws, then you do this, walk back, forward, and then do a move like this, and it will counter hit them for trying to throw you. So that's how to deal with opponents who are throwing you, or blocking a lot and trying to attack your throws. Right? Okay. So another things you can do, you can also stagger with this as well. So you can go up and then you can just keep doing it. Obviously, they need to put out a 6-frame button to beat this, because they're all +2. This comes out in 8, so they need 6-frame button. Anything less than 6 will beat this. So if you keep doing it, you will get blown up for doing it. But this is a good way to catch opponents as well. Sometimes opponents may try to press like a slower button, like a 2M or whatever, to try and catch you. So yeah, that is another thing you can try if opponents just are blocking a lot. Alright, and then we're going to go get into what you can do against opponents who like to mash. If you have an opponent who likes to mash, this is where the Frametrap comes in handy, because as we know, being +2 leaves us at advantage, so you need to do this, and then go into 2M, or this, and then go into 1M, far L. And then this is the kind of stuff you'll have to loop for opponents that are mashing. So you could do this, and then go into that, and then you can go to this and go into that. So that's one way to deal with mashing opponents. It doesn't have to be that button, obviously. It can be this button. This button's really good for Gran, because it leaves him +1. So he can also do this twice. See if I get the timing right. So, and then Gran can get a full combo from that. Not every character in the game has a +1 2M, but Gran's a good example. So characters with +1 2Ms can do something a little bit more unique, which I'll show you now. So they can do stuff like this. Now, they can stick a button out, their fastest button, or DP. And some characters are a lot better at doing this than others. Like Belial, for example, his 2M is a low and it's plus, which is hilarious, but whatever, you know, and it has a massive range. So if Gran's hasn't got massive range, so if you do this twice, you'll miss, for example. But Belial will probably get it twice. I haven't tested it, but it's likely. So yeah, this is another thing you can do. And then obviously, it's just you're just pressuring them with ways to kind of like stop them from pressing buttons and stuff. Get them to press a button, sorry. You're trying to aggravate them to the point where they're going to try press a button. And if they're not, you can then just run up and throw again. So that's the kind of 6XL loop you need to do. And then obviously, like I said earlier, when you throw them on the ground, then you can do your meaty when they're on wake up. So it really is, and you can even meaty with 6XL. It's a bit hard, like you have to time it correctly. But if they press a button and you connect the 6XL on time, you can actually get a counter hit for it as well. But that is something you'd have to practice. And then you got an opponent who doesn't like to block, and they'll try and jump out, or they'll try and DP out of pressure. So obviously this is your next option. Your next best option with 6XL is every now and then just block, because some opponents will DP. So you need to be ready for that. Obviously keep an eye on their meter, that's another one, and keep an eye on their icons, because if they got this red icon here, that's usually their invincible move. Obviously not every character has an invincible move, but the red icon is the one that is usually defensive. Also, so beware, because obviously not every some opponents will use their red icon, and then you okay, I've taken their DP out, and then you'll forget they'll have meter, and then they'll hit you with their metered DP. So just bear that in mind. Like blocking every now and then is important. I suggest blocking low, and the reason I do is I'll show you now. The reason I suggest blocking low is because if you do this and then walk back, you'll get clipped by a like a sweep. So if you do this and then block low, and then you'll be alright. And then if they don't chain into anything else, then you can get a combo. So some sweeps don't even have a special cancel, like Lancelot's for example. And I'm pretty sure there was another character. I was like Grimnir. Grimnir's sweep does not special cancel. Gran's does, and I'm fairly certain that Jeter's does as well. So I'll just check. Yeah. So, but if they're not special cancelling, they are -12 usually. It's usually -12 for like most characters in the game. Let's do that. So you can see Jeter's -12 now. So just keep an eye on that. But yeah, so 6XL, if you're going to block low, because there is not really an overhead they can kind of get from here. Also, if they try jump out of pressure, you'll be ready to anti-air them at this point. So you can see you probably get a better combo if they get a counter hit on you. So you probably do something like this, for example. You get your combo, so just be ready to like anti-air them as well. But yeah, that's literally the basics of 6XL pressure. It's literally just, if they are blocking, you need to go throw. If they're mashing, you need to frame trap. If they are trying to jump out or try and sweep you as you walk back, just prepare to block low and then aim high. And it's literally just about reading your opponent and getting more used to it. Obviously, that's kind of just the best way to describe 6XL pressure. But yeah, that's it. You must use this and learn this. It is really, really good. Another thing I kind of want to tack on the end to the 6XL pressure. Gran can't do this, so I'm going to bring out Catalina as an example. But basically, some characters have this sequence. And essentially, this is 2 frame traps. So you've got this, the 6XL plus. This into this is, there's a frame trap there. So you can do this, and then go into 2M. And then if they're pressing any buttons, then you can catch them. And then obviously some characters have like even further ways of extending. So Catalina would do something like this. And then she's plus again. And then I don't know what Catalina mains would do, but that would be an example of like how to extend pressure just by staying plus. Like that whole sequence there. If they try jump out, you can anti-air here, for example. Obviously you are in a great range. So you can like kind of poke them and then try and like bully them from afar with whatever you may have. So just bear that in mind. Some characters do have this sequence here, and then they can go to that. So it's literally 6XL, far out, and then 2M. And obviously you can mix it up more. You can do this, which is 6XL, 5L, and then 5H. But that's obviously a bit slower. So you can get caught out. Obviously this sequence is like these buttons are all very quick. Catalina's obviously got amazing range. So yeah. Just bear that in mind. I just wanted to put that on there, like just test that sequence out with your characters and see if you can do it. Mind you, after this, you can 6XL again and get back in, and then like repeat the loop. Let's try if I can do it. But there's a considerable gap here, obviously. So if the opponent's awake, this will not work. But it is something you can do if the opponent's being too respectful towards you. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is left-right mix. It's not very strong in this game because the guard button exists. It blocks, obviously, left and right. So it mitigates like a portion of mix you can get in this game. But some characters do have the ability to do it if your opponent's not awake. Namara is one. She can go into her teleport and then cross up and go into this. And obviously if you're not using the guard button, you get blown up for doing that. Lancelot is another character with good left-right mix in this game. But every character in the game has a jump normal that will cross up and then hit them on the other side. So for example, if I do Namaya, I usually want to go like 5L into the move, and that's just it. And then if they're pressing buttons, you can just continue the combo. It's just something to nicely to throw out every now and then. You just like cross up with your button, just make sure they're staying away, because obviously if you're doing this all the time, the opponent's always looking for that. And that's a concept called mental stack, which I'll get into in a little bit at the end of the video, because that's the Gran thing I want to kind of explain. But characters like Jeter obviously have really good ones. See, obviously hers hits very deep, so it can be like kind of ambiguous as to when it's actually going to land. So you can do it a bit earlier. So yeah, just see what your character's cross-up button is. Everyone in the game has one. Some are just better than others. Yeah, make sure you're using it. It's the button that hits like the furthest behind their head, I guess you could say. So obviously, if I did Namaya's jump light, it's going forward. So everyone has a back hitbox. But yeah, check out what buttons your characters have that cross up, and see if your character has any left-right mix. As far as I'm aware at the moment, the only characters I know are Namaya and Lancelot, but there's probably more. Alright, so the next thing we're going to talk about is high-low mix. Every character in the game has high-low mix, just some characters have better high-low mix than others. Everyone universally has a high-low mix built into their target combo. So for example, if you press light, and then do forward heavy, you get an overhead. And then if you do light and then forward medium, you get a low. The difference between these two moves is the heavy, the overhead is much slower than the low. The low comes out into 12 frames, where the heavy comes out in 18 frames. That means there is a gap between this, so opponents can DP through this. They can also super through this, so it's something to bear in mind. But they can't do anything through this. They have to just accept it or guard break. So they're the two options. So these are good to clear out rounds. Maybe you think, oh, okay, right, they got a little bit of help left and I need to take them. Then you can pick these. These are really good as well because like they serve their purpose for like ending a round, which is nice. And they also leave you plus on hit, and they also leave you safe on blocks. As you can see, I'm -4. Like I said, she can't grab me from this distance, so I am safe. And it's the same thing with this one. They just push you out the exact same distance. Now, if these land, they're plus. So I'll show you the low version first. So you get a little cheeky knockdown, plus 30. And then you can just run up and continue pressure. And the other one is the heavy version. If this lands, you're +1. And if they're not crouching, you can stick out like this, for example. You want to like kind of check out what your character can do after this, because obviously while you're +1, this is a good option, like maybe press in your medium move, but opponents can press a light button and counteract you, so it's best to use your quickest button after this. Zeta, a good example for Zeta would be her low too. So that's universal high-low mix for all characters. Some characters get a combo off their universal high-low. Nier is one that I can think of off the top of my head. Cagliostro can do it as well. Most characters, Fairy can do it as well. So any character that has like set play or any kind of like tool to keep stuff going, they'll be able to probably get a high-low mix going on their universal. But some characters have inbuilt high-low mix. Zeta is probably one of the best examples I can think of now. So when Zeta has you in the corner, you can do the pogo mix. This is an example of pogo mix. So this is an overhead, and then she can go into an overhead, or she can go into a low. That's the idea of the mix. Or she can go into grab. So I haven't gone for every character in the game, but some characters might have better examples of high-low mix, but this is the best example I can think of right now. So be aware, some of your characters in the game will have high-low mix. So it is worth noting out, and if your character has it, you should be learning how to do it. Like if you're playing Zeta, you need to be doing Pogo. If you're playing Nier, you need to be able to do your universal combos off of your universal high-low mix. And that's the same for any character who has set play. You should be taking advantage of the fact your character has high-low mix. Like don't always rely on this kind of pressure. You know, sometimes it's good to... if your character has it, then just abuse it, basically. So yeah, that's high-low mix in this game. Alright, so the next to last thing I'm going to be talking about is the holding the corner. In the original game it was called the Gran zone. And I'm also going to start off with the ability you should be using. Usually the end of rounds is just an offensive guard break. Just if they're coming out the corner and you're near the end of a round. Even just if you want to throw them back in the corner. Just do a guard break and throw them back into the corner. This is like so annoying to deal with for the opponent because they're trying to get their pressure started. And you're obviously costing a BP, but you're staying on the offense by doing this because you're putting them back in the corner. Being in the corner in this game is like so detrimental because it's very hard to get out. So that's kind of it. Just use that technique. There's not much more to explain about it because it literally is just what it is. It's just use a guard break and throw him back in the corner. But I'm going to go over a concept I learned in the last game called Gran, the Gran zone. It's a little bit weaker in this game because 66L exists, but it's still worth noting. Alright, so when you have someone in the corner, say 66L isn't working, you know, they're taking every throw, they're blocking every mix, whatever. So, sometimes, it's usually good at the end of the round, I'd say. Sometimes it's good just to sit here, and it's quite intimidating for the opponent sometimes. If you just sit here, they have to really... what can they kind of do at this angle? They can 6-6L, so you can see that coming. You can poke them out with that. So you're doing like a low commitment thing here. So if you think they're going to 6-6L, you can do that. They can stick out a poke, but their return, as I said, is not going to be too great unless they like land a raging strike. But they have to be like close. Like Zeta at max range can't do that, which is why she's probably one of the better characters at keeping people in the corner. And also, if they try and jump, you can anti-air. So it really is just like very tough for the opponent to get out of this situation. So some matches, if you watch like high level gameplay, sometimes they'll just sit in the corner for like maybe 5-6 seconds till they assess what they're going to do. So you can high jump out the corner. If I could get that. That's another option. But you can also grab people and throw them back in. This is just a good position to kind of hold. It slows things down and lets you assess things. So just bear that in mind. Like this is good. And every now and then, just do a poke. Maybe sit back, do a poke, wait. Just wait. Just see what the opponent's trying and do. Obviously, if they land a 6-6L, that would be a good time to then do the offensive guard break I was talking about. So it's like lands, they try to get their pressure started, then they're back in the situation, and they just get beyond frustrated. So yeah, do hold this position when you think when all else fails. Just hold this position. It is good to just sit here and wait sometimes. Alright, so the last thing I'm going to be talking about in this guide is the mental stack. Mental stack is essentially just a concept where when you give your opponent loads of things to think about, their reaction times will kind of just slow down. So for example, if you say you're near, let's say you're fighting a near, say near only does jump-ins, then you know you only need to look for a jump-in. But say that near, instead of just doing jump-ins, starts doing dashes. You know, she's doing dashes and she's doing jump-ins. So now you're looking for two things. Near is a great example, that's why I pulled her up. So near also has def. This is a good example of an inbuilt mental stack. So you have to now worry about jump-ins, you have to worry about 6-6L, and you have to worry about def behind you. So some characters in this game have very standard mental stack. Some characters have better mental stack. Obviously, that's just the way the game works. Nier is probably the best example of a character with great mental stack. So you should look at your character, basically, and try and assess what they can do to kind of make the opponent think about loads of things. Like I said, everyone in the game has 6-6L. Everyone has grab. Everyone has staggers. You know, everyone has Frametraps. So these are things you can kind of think about. Everyone has jump-ins. Everyone has whatever. So that's another good thing to think about. I'll show you another character now who has another example of a mental stack. Alright, so the next character I'm going to talk about who has really good inbuilt mental stack into their kit is Eustace. Eustace can land a sticky bomb on you, and once the sticky bomb is on you, you're now having to think about the sticky bomb, you're having to think about him throwing you, you have to think about him doing a cross-up on you, you have to think about a lot more. So it's a good way of building mental stack with one of his tools. Obviously if he lands this, he gets a combo, so that's something to bear in mind. His ultimate also causes a great mental stack, is this delayed bomb that just bounces around on the screen. So there's a lot more he can kind of do. Obviously, I don't know how to play Eustace, so I don't know. Maybe that was like a really good idea, what I just did there. Maybe you time it. Yeah, something like that. So, but while that's on the screen, you can obviously grab. And you could probably time that as well. So that's another good example of a character who leaves mental stack. You know, he's not just relying on this or the cross up or, you know, going for throw. He's also got this to kind of make you think about something. So see what your character has. If your character has another move or another tool that can kind of make you think, then this is you should try and exploit it, because it would make the mental stack much better. You want to give your opponent many options to think about. You know, they're thinking about 6XL, they're thinking about cross up, they're thinking about bomb, they're thinking about whatever. So, but I'll try to show a more basic character and what you kind of want to do with that. Alright, and then another character I kind of want to talk about who is inbuilt mental stack is Charlotta. Charlotta's is a little bit more like due to how many options she has on certain moves. So she has her standard stuff you're looking out for, as always. You know, looking for this, looking for this, looking for low, looking for grab. But she also has this little gimmick she can do, which is her hop series. So if she does nothing, doesn't press a button, her hop does a little low attack. So you have to think about that. If she wants to press, I think it's her medium attack, she gets an overhead. She also has a dive that can make herself +1. And she also has a throw. So already you've got like everything on top of you already have to think about, and then you have to worry about her doing extra stuff. So see what your character can do. That's the main thing. See how many things you can do to kind of like mix up your offense. That's the main key here. Just make sure you're always mixing up your offense. Don't just do 6XL grab. Don't just do, you know, 6XL this then that. You know, make sure you're always changing it up, because then it keeps the opponent guessing. That's the main thing about mental stack. Just making sure that there's so much stuff for the opponent to think about that they have a hard time even opening you up, and they second guess themselves. But yeah, that's pretty much mental stack. Yeah, and that's pretty much it all today. I do hope this guide helps you like I do with all the other ones. I'll have all my playlists linked throughout the video, as I said I would. But yeah, no, I hope it helps you. If there's anything you need me to elaborate on, just put that in the chat below. And there, see you in the next one, swines.